Capacity crowd, more than 9,300 people today at Eastern Michigan University's Convocation Center, many of them waiting hours in the cold to see Bernie Sanders. The self-titled outsider has been drawing massive crowds across the country, especially on college campuses among young people. Today, no different. Paula Tutman in Ypsilanti right now. And Paula, the supporters came out in force.
Yeah, you know what? And I got to tell you something, Devin. Not just young people, but young people bringing their parents as well. Yeah, it was a very loud, rowdy, large crowd going in. Very rowdy crowd during his speech, and really quite rowdy leaving. You can see traffic is just now starting to clear up, but they were excited about what they heard today. Before he even hit the stage, the excitement, the dedication, and the devotion was obvious. It might be cold outside, but these Sanders supporters were feeling the burn, with a line that was conservatively estimated at perhaps as much as a mile long at one point, just to get inside. Candace is a first-time voter, and she says a solid reason Bernie Sanders speaks to her is because of what other candidates are saying about her.
Like some of the Republicans, they specifically speak against some of my, people they're talking ill about are some of the things that I am. They're speaking to me, they're saying, oh yes, we want to, get rid of immigrants, we want to ban Muslims. Well, that's me, so that's not cool that they're saying that, and so I don't understand how people can support that.
Yes, the crowd was packed with young people, as well as young people who've gotten their parents to politically pivot.
My daughter has kind of conformed me to come in here, and with her knowledge of Bernie.
I told her that the billionaires are not paying their fair share, and it's not fair. And for us to move forward as a country, there has to be a closing the gap in the income inequality, and we need to have more social programs to help people in need.
We found a lot of first-time voters standing in line to hear, support, and cheer. They like his platform, not only what he's saying now, but what he's been saying for the last 30 years.
He's a true idealist. He's committed to his ideals. He sticks to them, and it's refreshing to see in a race where so many people change their views just to attract voters.
Sanders arrived at EMU fresh from Flint and angry.
If the local government cannot protect those children, if the state government cannot protect those children, then the federal government better get in and do the right thing.
Many of these voters say they really appreciate that he is not trying to meme or pander his way in or bully his way in.
The way he's talking to us like we're people.
America must join the rest of the industrialized world. Health care for all.
Okay, so I'm on a college campus, so of course you would expect that when he talked about affordable and free tuition, he would get a huge applause. But the biggest applause came when he talked about replacing recently passed the Supreme Court Justice Scalia, when he said, look, Republicans need to follow the Constitution, not try to run their own game and their own ball. And that, honestly, when you talk about raising the roof off the arena, that got probably the largest applause yet. Back to you guys.
In fact, Paul, that was exactly going to be my question, whether or not that brand new issue that just came in over the weekend not only seemed to energize Sanders' comments, but whether or not that was what people were talking about in line today as they were waiting to get in, all these young people.
I think it's absolutely on everybody's mind, certainly on his mind, and he really brought up the constitutionality of a president being able to choose, particularly when you have this much time left. Hey, Devin, before I let you go, I do want to let you know he's got one more stop this evening in Dearborn, local 600 of the UAW. That's where he'll be speaking this evening.
All right, thanks, Paula.